Hello and welcome once again to Turbo Delphi Demos. I'm Nick Hodges, the Delphi Product Manager here at Borland DevCo, and today I'm going to be doing some HelloWorld applications for you, the classic introductory program that any programming language and programming environment should be able to do and demonstrate. I'm going to do a bunch of different ones, starting from just the most basic console application, working all the way up to some HelloWorlds using the visual component library. Okay, I've got Turbo Delphi open here, and I'm going to create a new console project. Now, a console project would be a project that many of you view as sort of a DOS app or an application that runs at the command line. And the IDE will then create a very simple project for me. It's actually just a little template here of code that starts out with the keyword program, which is the main unit for any Delphi-based application. And it defines it as an app type console and uses the sysutils unit, which is the basic system utilities unit that has some of the basic functionality and runtime library type stuff in it. And then it has a basic statement to begin with and an end with a period there, indicating this is the main block of our program. And in here, of course, it has a little to-do item, says insert code here, which I'm going to delete. And then I'm going to do the most simple Hello World program you could possibly think of. I'm going to simply type write-lin and then the classic message Hello World. And I'm going to put a simple readlin after that to enable the console application to halt, so that it will end only when I hit the return key. That's my most basic Hello World application. I'm going to save that out, and now I can run it. And up pops a console window that says Hello World. Can't get more basic than that. Hit the enter key and the application quits. Okay, that's about as simple a Hello World application as you can build in Delphi. Now I'm going to do a slightly more complicated one using the Windows API. Now, in order for a Delphi programmer to use the Windows 32-bit API, all he or she needs to do is add the unit name Windows to the uses clause of their unit or application, and then they have complete access to Windows API calls. The Windows unit wraps up and makes calls into the Windows API, and you have direct access to that without doing any more work other than adding Windows to your uses clause. So now I have access to the message box API, and I'm going to pass in 0 for the Windows handle because we don't have a window here. I'm going to say Hello World for the actual text of the application. The caption of the message box, I'll say Hello World Demo, and then for the last parameter I'll just pass in 0 again, since we're not concerned with different types of that box right now. I'll save that and run it. And now when the console pops up, it displays a window with Hello World Demo in the title and Hello World Message in the message box. I click OK, and the application comes to an end. So there is a Hello World application using the Windows API. Okay, those are two very simple Hello World applications, just using the good old console applications. But now we can do a slightly different Hello World application using the Visual Component Library Forms framework, and that's the framework that comes with Delphi that provides all the rich GUI interface both at runtime and at design time that you can use. So I will now open up a VCL Forms application, and we'll get a nice basic form here. Behind that form we can look at the code. It declares a class type tform3 that descends from tform, gives you a basic uses clause of units of Pascal code that will be used by this application, and from there, in the designer, I can go to the tool palette. I hit Control-Alt-P. I'll type a few codes. I'm looking for the label control, so I type in LAB, and you'll notice that it then finds the label control, and I'll drop a label control on the form here. And I'm going to size this up a little bit using the nice, pretty blue dots here that allows you to size controls. Then I'm going to go over to the Object Inspector. I'm going to look for the caption, and in the caption control, I'm going to type Hello World, and then I'm going to let's go to the font property. I'm going to set the font height to say Oh, let's set the font color to some nice pretty red or something. I don't know, red. Set the height here to, or we'll set the size to 25. And we'll go to the style and we'll set bold. And then I could place that right in the middle here. And I can select the form. I can save my project now. Save Unit 3 and Project 5. And now I've got a very simple Hello World application that runs as a Windows form. It's got a label on top of it here that says Hello World. I can resize the form. I can move it around. I can do anything I want to it, all with a few clicks of the Object Inspector and some component dragging and dropping. Okay, there's a very simple Hello World VCL application, Visual Component Library Forms application. We can make it a little more complicated by having the form itself pop up another dialog box using a button. So you press a button and the application will say Hello World. So I'll use Control-Alt-P to filter the toolbar, and I'll type BUT again for button, hit enter, and that drops a button onto our form. Now I can size that button up a little bit, and I'm going to change its caption to say hello. And now I'm going to create an on-click event handler for this button. On-click event handler will fire when the button is clicked. And by firing, I mean it will execute code within the handler. In the Object Inspector, we have an Events tab over here, and we have an on-click event name here, and then this will hold the name of the on-click event handler. I can create an on-click event handler for a button because the on-click event handler is the default event for the button by double-clicking it. So I double-click on the button, and it creates, as you see, this event handler called tButton1Click. And inside this procedure here, I can write code that will be executed when the button is clicked. And I'm going to create a simple VCL message dialog box that contains some instructions on how to construct and create a message dialog box the VCL way. And I'm going to type the classic hello world into that. Then the type of the dialog, I can have a number of different message types. I can have warning, error, each of which will pop up a different icon. I'm just going to go with information here because we're not trying to warn or scare anybody. And then I can have a set of buttons, and this one I'll just simply put the MB OK button. But if I wanted to say hey, OK cancel, I could put MB OK cancel button in here, and that would include the cancel button as well. We'll just go with the OK button for now, and we don't have any help associated with this or help context numbers, so I can leave that last number 0. So now if I run this application, it pops up. It still says Hello World with my label, but now I have a button here that says Say Hello. I press the button, and boom, I get a message dialog box from the VCL with a nice icon here and a Hello World message, and it tells me that there's some information there. Okay, well that's about it for the Hello World demonstration. We looked at 4 different ways to run Hello World in varying degrees of difficulty and whatnot. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time on the Turbo Delphi Demos.